Hello and welcome back to Women for Wealth. Last time I said that I would research FIRE and give you a little more information, and I've done that. So here we go. So let's get right into FIRE. So FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I think that's something that I read a statistic on the other day that 1 in 4 of every people do not think they'll ever be able to retire, that they'll just have to keep working. Social Security in the US is not enough to retire on, and people realize that. But it's sad to me to think someone like my dad, who's in his 70s, and my mother-in-law, who's in her 70s, still have to work just to be able to pay their bills. My goal with this channel is to share my knowledge and what I've done to help myself and my family, as well as I'm going to bring on experts and other people in individual areas and financial wealth managers and have them also educate you on their expertise in their areas of how to be able to retire with financial independence. So let's hop into this. So with FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early, the financial independence is having enough savings and investment to support your lifestyle, your desired lifestyle, without having to work for money. So that is the goal with financial independence, is to be able to support yourself without having to have a job so that you can retire early. Now, early retirement means something different for other people. If you're 23, you might want to retire when you're 40. I'm 47 right now. I want to retire when I'm 70. My husband is older than I am. I think he'd retire tomorrow if we were in a position that he could. Everybody has a different idea. So the 4% rule is something that is talked about a lot in the FIRE community. So the 4% rule is if you withdraw 4% of your investment portfolio annually, adjusted for inflation, you have a high likelihood of your money lasting for 30 years or more. So if you're only taking 4% out of your long-term investments each year for you to live on, it says that you'll be able to continue doing that for 30 years, which is a good goal. If you're 65, which is the average Social Security retirement age, and you want that money to last for 30 years, then you're going to be 95 before that money runs out if you're taking 4% of your investment each year, adjusted for inflation. Inflation every year is going to be different. You just have to adjust that for whatever the actual number is. One thing you could think about with the FIRE program, they aim for saving 50% of your income annually. That means you've got to be extremely frugal. I personally don't know anybody that can do that. I can't do that. My goal is to invest as much as I can. That percentage honestly fluctuates every year. When the company has a good year, I'm able to pull out more dividends. I invest more that year. If the company has a light year, I don't pull out dividends and I just use my salary to live on. And then I've just got a fixed rate of 10% of my salary that goes into retirement savings. So that's what I do, but the FIRE is around retiring early. That's the RE in FIRE. So they're recommending you live off of 50% and you invest 50% of whatever you make. And you save money in assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and index funds to generate passive income, because you don't want to be actively working. You want to be able to have these passive incomes where you invest your money into assets that give you passive income over time. Now, before you jump into investing 50% of your income, you need to have an emergency fund in place. That emergency fund, depending on who you talk to, is going to be different. Each financial advisor has a different amount on that. What I told my kids from the time they were 15, you need $1,000 in savings. $1,000 isn't a lot of money, but if you get a flat tire and you need to get that fixed, or if you just need an oil change, you need that extra money to be able to do maintenance on your car. You need that $1,000 set aside so you've got it and you don't stress and you don't worry. Now, once my son moved out, he and his long-term girlfriend moved in together. They don't share their finances, but they do share the bills. And so what I told him at that point, I was like, look, you're not married, you don't have kids yet. You need to have 3 months of what you would normally spend on average in the savings account. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you get to that dollar amount, you need to put in a high interest, high yield savings account. Don't let it sit in a regular bank account. Don't let it sit in your checking account because you could spend it inadvertently and not know it. make sure it's set aside somewhere else. I actually used to have my emergency savings account at a different bank, and I did not have a bank card. So if I needed to go access that money, I had to get in my car, drive across town, and do a withdrawal with a teller. When you have to take that extra step and that extra time, it makes you stop and pause and say, okay, wait a minute. Do I really need this money or do I want this money? And if it's a want, you don't touch it. You leave it there because it's for emergencies only. Wants are not an emergency. Christmas comes the same time every year. Birthdays, anniversaries. Most people take a vacation annually. That's not going to be a surprise. You need to budget for that type of stuff separate from your emergency savings account. Then once you get married, I recommend at least 6 months of average savings in your emergency savings account. Again, you're going to put it into a high interest savings account. So you're not going to just put it in a regular savings account. You're going to put it in a high interest savings account. So you earn more money on that money that's sitting there. If you have to use any of your emergency savings, you're going to immediately focus on refilling that money and restocking that money. If you use your emergency savings and you don't immediately start to replace it, you're eventually going to run out because emergencies happen. I like to say Murphy's Law, likes to live out and camp out in my spare bedroom from time to time, and it's just part of life. So one of the next tenets of the FIRE movement is reducing expenses. Again, they want you to live on half of your income with the FIRE movement. I don't think that's anything that I could do, and I don't know if any of you could either. So I'm going to say just be mindful of your spending. Have your written budget. I use just an Excel spreadsheet, but I've heard that Google Sheets has a budget template that you can download and use. There's other budget friendly apps you can use out there. There are a lot of them that are free. There are some that you have to pay for. I personally go free with just a spreadsheet, but I have a written budget that I stick to. I know where every dollar coming in comes from. I know where every dollar going out goes to. I know what my regular expenses are. My food budget is an average of the last 3 months. So I take a rolling 3-month average of how much we spend on food, and that's what I use in my budget. And it's just, how can you be mindful? How can you tell your money where to go instead of it just sprouting legs and walking off? One of the things that the FIRE movement talks about is downsizing, moving to a lower cost of living area, driving an older car, cooking at home. So those are some of their recommendations. I can tell you personally, I drive a 2007 Mazda Miata. In 3 years, it's going to be a 20-year-old car. I like driving an older car. Insurance is very cheap. I do my regular maintenance, so I keep it maintained and in good condition. I don't have a note with the bank. Paid for is beautiful. It's a Mazda Miata. It's a little 2-seater roadster convertible. It's fun to drive. It is not practical for daily, everyday life. So my husband has a 2014 Ford Explorer. That's the main workhorse for the family. It's paid for. It is low insurance. We do regular maintenance on it. We keep it maintained and in good condition. And I think that's important. You need reliable, but you don't need sporty. I've got an aunt that just bought a $70,000 all tricked out Jeep Grand Cherokee something another. I don't know all the details. This Jeep can drive itself. It's got 3 TVs. I mean, it's just, like, again, she got every bell and whistle. She's in a position though where she's a PE teacher for middle school. But about a decade ago, I started helping her with her finances. And so she has money invested through Fidelity, through a financial advisor. And she has her retirement taken care of. She's also over the age of 65, so she's drawing Social Security. She put a nice hefty down payment toward that $70,000. She will be making monthly payments. I wish she'd save up enough where she didn't need to, but $70,000 is a lot of money. She could have pulled money out of an investment, but I told her not to do that. Leave the money invested because that's her long-term future. She's got the monthly payments. She's going to make monthly payments for only 2 years, and it'll be paid off in full. Getting a new vehicle now at her age, this vehicle will last her the rest of her life. Her previous car she kept for 14 years. It was starting to have transmission problems, which was going to be a lot of money to fix, and so she made the decision to buy new. I didn't think she needed all the bells and whistles, especially for her age. She's not very technology savvy, so she doesn't even know how to use it. She cuts most of it off. She wanted to have a luxury vehicle. That's what she got. It'll take her through the rest of her driving life. So everyone has different perspective. Again, as long as you're doing what you need to do to plan and make conscious spending decisions and really think about your purchases, then I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to be mad about it. She thought about it. She ran some numbers and it's like, you know what? Okay, go get the car. I like the car. And it is a nice car. It's not nice enough for me to go take out and buy it, but it was right for her. Another thing that goes along with the FIRE program is increasing income. It's something where, how do you increase your income, right? And this could probably be a whole nother show that I probably need to consider doing, because one of the things you need to be aware of, especially as a woman today, if you're a minority woman, it's even worse. You are paid less than men. You just are. I've experienced my entire career. I'm an electrical engineer. I climbed the ladder. I was the lowest paid director of engineering at Siemens Energy. I had engineers that were senior and lead level engineers that reported and worked for me, making way more. I had one lead engineer that made like $30,000 more than me a year. It's not right. It's not fair. The only thing that we can do is we have to learn to speak up and advocate for ourselves. So you have to learn how to negotiate a higher salary. And depending on where you're at in your career path and where you are climbing that ladder will determine how you approach asking for a raise and asking for more money. One of the things that I did, instead of negotiating salary, I negotiated bonuses. So I put in KPIs that I thought I could make but would be a stretch and were alignment with the company goals and KPIs. And I said, hey, here's what I'd like to do. These are the KPIs. If I meet or exceed them, this is the bonus structure I would like to be able to be eligible for. And so that worked really well for me. So I got really good bonuses under that structure. So my base salary was lower, but my bonus helped compensate for that. Now, if you're lower, if you're 27, you're not that high up the ladder, how are you going to negotiate for more money and a higher salary? You're going to have to increase your skill sets. You're going to have to show that you're more valuable and that they can bill you at a higher rate for the end client because you have additional skill sets. You've taken software classes on software that's specific. You add letters to the end of your name, acronyms, through certifications. It's EIT and PE for the engineering world. So adding those letters at the end of your name because you completed certifications is really going to help you to be able to increase and negotiate for a higher salary, because your company will be able to negotiate with the end client to charge a higher rate for you. So basically, you're saying, hey, I'm going to make myself more valuable so you can bill higher, so you can pay me more. And you have to figure out what's important to the end client to be able to do that. If the end client wants 3D software and there's nobody else in the company that can do 3D, go learn that software. Bring it back. Tell the company, hey, you can offer this to the client because I can do it. Do one for the client. The client's happy. Says, hey, we're going to give you more 3D work. Then you go and negotiate and say, okay, I went and got this additional skill set and this software. I've done it for the client. They're happy. They're giving us more work. I have brought in more work. I've been able to increase my skill set and make myself more valuable. I would like to negotiate a raise. Make it to where your boss can't tell you no. If you are more valuable to the end client and the company can charge a higher rate for you, your company is not going to have a problem paying you a higher salary. But you've got to understand and be able to negotiate within the industry you're in and be able to advocate for yourself. I've never had anybody turn me down for a salary bump or promotion or a raise that I asked for if I justified it. The next thing, part of the FIRE program and movement, is tax optimization. Taxes are something, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I do not understand taxes. I have a tax team. I don't have a tax person, I have a tax team because my company is located in multiple states and no one person knows all the taxes in one particular state over the other when we're in so many different states. When you've got 24 states you cover, you've got to have a team that can know all of the tax advantages for each and every state that you can take benefit of. So I will say on tax optimization, I will find someone that I can bring in and put on the show in the future. But in the short term, there are certain things that I have no problem paying experts for. Tax strategy is one of the things that I pay for, and it's valuable to me. And so I'm able to pay an expert, someone that knows what they're doing and understands the taxes and the tax code. He, she, they save me money on my taxes, and that offsets what I'm paying them for their service. Healthcare and insurance. Now, you might not think healthcare and insurance would be part of this because healthcare is something that is very expensive, especially in the US. Our premiums are not cheap, but it's kind of like an emergency savings account. You have got to have health insurance because you never know when you're going to get sick. You never know when there's going to be an accident and you need to go to the hospital. You need to have that coverage so that if something were to happen, you would be safe. Now, I recommend if you're young, get you a health savings account and put money aside in that. That is going to be tax-free dollars that you can spend for the rest of your life as long as the funds, are still there. And it helps you to offset the cost of healthcare. And these HSA accounts, you can use them for prescriptions. You can use them for, I think a friend of mine said they went to CVS and bought some Tylenol and they put it on their HSA card. So there's a lot of flexibility there with how you pay, and you're covered and you got a little more security, less worry, less stress. If you're not young and healthy, the HSA is probably not the best for you. At that point, you probably do need to get a traditional health insurance plan where, you've got copays and things like that. But when you're young, high deductible HSAs are the way to go. The next tenet of this methodology is financial independence through flexibility and adjustments. And I think that's important because your life is going to change. Your circumstances are going to change. What you needed to do in your 20s is not what you need to do in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. I can say the earlier you start saving and investing, the better. There are a lot of financial people out there, Dave Ramsey being one, that says get out of debt first, then invest. I'm going to be honest with you, I disagree with that. I did it. I followed that program, but now I think that it's better to start investing early, even if it's only $100 a month. Start investing as early as you can. If it's going to take you 10 years to get out of debt, that's a lot of lost interest that you're going to lose out on with an asset. Do not wait. Invest as early and as soon as you can and as much as you can. Finally, you're going to have to adjust as you go. Your plan's going to have to adjust. During the budget call, I talked about how you have to reevaluate your budget at least once a year. You need to go do a deep dive, your 3-month rolling average for how much you spend on food, entertainment, things like that. You're going to need to update those numbers periodically. I say at least once a quarter I go in and look at it. But you're going to need to adjust your plan. The older you get, the more you should be investing because you should be climbing the ladder. You should have done the negotiation to get the higher salary. You should have done those things along the way. You should have also been paying off debt and reducing your expenses so you have more money to invest as you get older. So don't just say, hey, I put $100 and 6% in my 401k when I'm 23 and I'm going to do that the rest of my life. No, every year, sit down, take an assessment of your financial health, what your goals are, and do modifications and adjustments along the way. One of the things that they say that I want to quote because I think it's very important, achieving FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early, requires discipline, patience, and a long-term perspective. Focus on lifestyle choices, aiming at maximizing freedom and autonomy on how you live your life. As a beginner, start understanding your current financial situation, understanding and setting clear goals, educating yourself, which is what you're doing here, and I appreciate that. So I think that's important to state. Do not try to chase the quick dollar. This is a lifetime, this is a lifestyle, this is a strategy that will work, but it takes time, and you cannot run after the quick get rich schemes because they'll end up taking your money. So just be careful with that. I appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, such as FIRE or anything else you want me to talk about next, or if you want me to bring in one of my experts about a particular topic, let me know that in the comments and I will accommodate you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to inspire you. I'm here to give you the tools and the confidence you need as a woman to become wealthy. So thank you.